A really simple mob farm that allows you to collect mobs all over the place with no water whatsoever. This uses a sweeper system. It's absolutely brilliant and it will work in survival beautifully. It even collects Enderman. Yes, ender pearls without having to go to the end. How awesome is that? I'm going to show you how right now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night, and welcome to another episode of my farm tutorial series. This is the episode where I make you a really awesome, and I mean really awesome, mob farm. This is going to allow you to collect arrows, it's going to allow you to collect gunpowder and dead flesh if you want it, really, seriously, it's up to you, whatever floats your boat, and all sorts of other goodies, including, yep, ender pearls. I kid you not, this is going to get you ender pearls. It spawns enderman up there, and it also spawns spiders, so we get string as well. It is a really good mob spawner that works beautifully, and it uses a sweeper system. It uses absolutely no water whatsoever, so we're not going to have water flocking in all over the place. It is a non-water system. I'm not so keen on the water systems. There are some really nice ones, but I do not like them as much as I do the sweeper ones. So that is what I'm going to make for you. I'm going to do it step by step for you, and hopefully you'll be able to follow it really easy. And at the end there is a challenge. Do watch it all the way to the end, because if you get to the end there is a challenge for you, and if you are the winner of the challenge I will make sure I shout you out massively, and I mean massively, in a future episode of this farming series. So be the first to win that challenge, and I'll look forward to shouting you out in a future farming episode. Let's get on with it, shall we? But before you do that, hit the like. You might forget partway through, so hit the like now, hit the sub now if you've not already done, just in case you forget partway through. Look, some endermen fall in there, absolutely brilliant. It's going mad. Let's get on with the build. First thing is first, you've got to make sure you know exactly where you're building this mob farm, because you're going to want as few mobs spawning outside of your mob farm as you can possibly find, and that means caves. You need to get yourself inside these caves and make sure they are lit up. Anything within, I don't know, about 128 blocks of you, you've got to light it up like a beacon, or you're going to find you're not going to get anything in your mob spawner, because there ain't any space left in the mob capacity for you to be able to spawn them. So make sure you do that first. So we are going to do this in the default skin, because a lot of people are saying that other texture packs are making it a little bit confusing. So we're going to do this in the default texture pack, just so you can see exactly how it looks without any kind of texture modification whatsoever. Now you've lit everything up. Everything is really lit around you. Nothing is going to spawn anywhere near you. So you're set, you're ready to go. And you need to get yourself a minimum, and I mean a minimum of 50 blocks up. I recommend even higher. And the reason that is because the higher you are, the less likely endermen are going to be able to kind of gravitate themselves out, to transport and teleport themselves out of this spawner, which means you're going to get more ender pearls, and that is what you want. Now we are going to create 3 platforms, and the way we're going to do this is using furnaces. And the reason we're going to use a furnace is because we have to do a block that, 1, won't be moved by a slime block, and 2, won't be picked up by those pesky endermen. And the only 2 that can do that are furnaces and obsidian. Now to do obsidian, you go for it, and I actually thought very strongly about doing this tutorial in obsidian, and then I thought, you know what, that's going to be really quite hard, because getting lots of obsidian is really difficult for people, especially at the beginning of the game. So we're going to use a furnace, because that is frankly a lot easier to make, and we're going to stick our furnace there, and then we're going to get 2 more blocks. 1, so we've got to crouch obviously because it's a furnace, 1, 2, and then a 3rd block, and then a furnace. And then once more, I need to crouch. Let's get my. I'm going to put a block there. 1, 2, 3, and another furnace. And that is our 3 layers. You are not going to need these blocks in the middle anymore, so you can just delete those, mine them out. Recommend making them with dirt if you're in survival, because then it's really easy to get rid of. And then you've got to make 3 platforms using these furnaces. So this is going to take a lot of crouching, but we're going to make 3 platforms that are 11 by 11 big. So big square 11 by 11 platforms. I'll be back once I've done that. Now select one of your sides and get yourself a sticky piston facing towards you in this direction. So again, you've got to crouch to do that, so you get a sticky piston there. Then you want to get a sticky piston one block away facing the other direction, just like that. In between those, you get yourself a slime block. There you go, and you're going to put slime across the entirety, all the way along, until you get to the last one. And you're not going to put a slime block on the last one, you're going to put a glass block on the last one. And the reason you put a glass block is because there is a very small chance that you could cause your mobs that you're making and farming to suffocate before they get down to the collection bit, and you don't want that. So you're going to put a little bit of glass on the end here, and that is going to avoid you ever having to worry about suffocating mobs, because that's the last thing you want. Suffocating mobs, just a complete nightmare. Then get your furnace again, and what we're going to do is we are going to put a furnace all along this side here. You can see it's not along the edge of this bit, it is along the edge of the piston. So again, we've got to go into crouch, and we're going to do that the entire width of that there, and the same on the other side. So let's get that the entire width. And then we're going to do exactly the same on the top here. And again, you're going to have to crouch to get these in. And the reason you have to do these with these furnaces, which is a pain because you always have to press crouch when you land, and which is why it's a big advantage with obsidian, is this slime block is going to be rubbing against these. And if you used any other block other than the obsidian or these particular furnaces, you're going to end up just slamming them all over the place. They're just not going to work. It's basically not going to work. So you've got to do that kind of formation. Can you see that? On each and every layer. So I'll be back when I've finished the other two layers. So now we're going to start to build up the walls, and across this layer here, so the layer that is going across the pistons, we need to place an opaque block. Now this could be anything that's not going to let the light in, so you could use, I don't know, you could use maybe some quartz blocks or some cobblestone. I'm just going to use stone brick simply because I quite like stone brick, and I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to run along this bit here. So let's get there. I'm going to go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to repeat that on all of the layers. So let's crouch. It is really a pain to have to crouch with these furnaces, but they are so much cheaper and so much resource friendlier than your standard obsidian block, and that is a lot of obsidian that you put on there if you're doing obsidian, that it's just a no-brainer. I have to use these furnaces, otherwise it is so not survival friendly. And what you're going to do next is you're going to build little C shapes on each edge of the platform, just in the same row. See this little recessed C shape just on the same row that you've got your sticky piston, and the reason for that is that sticky piston has got to go in to that. You see how it's got to go, it's going to get pushed over the edge and into that. So if that was a block, you're going to miss out pushing all of your mobs off of the platform, and that's not going to be any good at all. So you need to do that on all three sides. So you've got, put one there, come out and stick that there like that. So you see that's there, and now on this one as well, we've got to come across here, crouch, crouch, build, build, build. And it's only on that last one, on that edge, and then over the other side here as well, you've got to come down and do exactly the same shape around this edge as well. Nope, that's exactly the block we don't want to put it in. So come down, 1 2 1 2 1, and then down again and make those C shapes. So exactly like that. Once you've done those C shapes, all you need to do is to complete the wall, and you complete the wall by filling in these two gaps there and there, and then come around the other side, fill out those two gaps, those two gaps, and those two gaps, exactly like that. And then it's really simple. We're going to complete the wall that's going to surround the entire spawner. So we need to come out one, so you can see we've got like a diagonal coming out from there, leaving a big 2 gap dropping zone, so anything that spawns in here can drop down there. And then we're going to build that all the way up to the top and all the way along right to the other end. You see that's all the way to the end there, and then we're going to do it right the way up to the top. So I'll be back when these walls are finished. So you can see there we've got that entirely across that 11 by 11 square, leaving a nice big 2 gap for those mobs to fall down to their death. And on this side, we are literally going to repeat it exactly like that. So we've got one big open wall here, and this bit is dead easy. All we're going to do is come out one. We don't have to have any gap whatsoever. In fact, we don't want any gap whatsoever. And this is going to come along like that, and we're just going to create a row all the way to the other wall, right past the sweeper arm, and then that is going to go all the way to the top of the farm. And that's going to block all the light coming out from this side, which is brilliant. If we've got any light in there, we're going to have real problems spawning these creepers and skeletons and zombies and goodness only what knows what else, spiders, and hopefully Enderman as well, which is absolutely brilliant, because it's going to be too light. It's basically going to be too light. They do not like the light. They do not come out of light. In fact, some of them, they're going to burn in the light. So they are never going to come out, and they're never going to allow you to sweep them off the platform and let them plummet to their doom. So let's finish off this wall. And there is our mob chamber. 2 nice gaps on that side. 2 nice gaps on that side with 3 platforms and a sweeper arm on each, and that wall above that top platform is 1, 2, 3 blocks high. Now we need to create some legs, and these legs are what's going to support the entire mob farm. Not that it needs support, look, it's floating up in the air, but they're going to support the entire mob farm and allow the mobs to drop down through them. Now I recommend that you need to have solid blocks for a big chunk of this, so I'm going to say 15 minimum solid blocks coming downwards for part of the 2 legs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, except I'm not close enough, 12, 13, 14, 15. There you go, counting with Avomance, and that wants to continue. Oh, I forgot I've got a crouch there. We're going to come down all the way there with that as well. A minimum of 15, so like that, and we're going to repeat that all the way along, so as we've got legs that are kind of 15 deep in and some kind of opaque block, a block that isn't going to let in any light. So I'm going to do that now. So once you've got those legs 15 long, you can then go all the way down to 2 off the ground, and I'll show you why it's 2 off the ground in just a moment. And you can do this in any way you want. You might want to just completely slip it all the way down in normal bricks. I'm going to go around the bottom edge of this in a little bit of cobble. This is because I don't like things that are just straight lines. I like to have a little bit of texture, and if you've seen any of my creative builds, you will know that texture and colour and things like that are quite a big deal to me. So I'm going to make these exactly like that, and then under that I'm going to get a glass block, and this is a light grey stained glass block, but it doesn't have to be. It could be any glass block you wanted it to be. Just a normal glass block would be absolutely fine. And I'm going to go all the way around here with this block here. So we've got a bit of an effect like that, and that is going to continue all the way down to 2 before we get to the ground. So I'm going to be back when I'm there. And now that is done, it looks incredibly impressive, like some big robot thing that's blotting your landscape. It looks absolutely brilliant. But we are going to come down to the bottom, and we're going to come down right to the very bottom here, because we're going to do something under this gap. I told you to leave a 2 gap all the way along. Well, I kind of didn't mean it, because what I want you to do is I want you to stick a wall there, because then that designates the end. And we are going to cut basically 2 deep swathe all the way along until we've got a 2 deep ditch the entire width of these this leg hole. And then once you've got where the leg hole finishes, which is there, I want you to come out one more, because we're going to need to create a line all the way along to the other leg until we get to where that would finish. See there? So we're going to get 2 deep there, get rid of that, and then we're going to make another 2 deep channel all the way along. Doesn't matter if you cut out a little bit extras, because we can always fill that in again, until we get to the end of this bit here. So there we go. So we've got the channel that we're after, exactly like that, and we are going to build here. I'm just going to fix that bit. That's a bit ugly in it. So let's fix that bit there using a little bit of grass, because I'm really funny about that. I hate things to not look right. I don't know if anybody there in the comments that doesn't like things to not look right, you let me know, and just let me know that I'm not alone, because it is a terribly lonely place when all you think is, oh, I can't have that little block there because it's in the way. And then we are going to get some hoppers running around this entire system, but we want to go to the center. So we've got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So we know the center is going to be 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Again, counting with Avomance, but that is the center hopper, or the center of that particular bit there. And on the bottom of the channel, we're going to get our hoppers, and we're going to place the hoppers so as they're going to run in to this particular block. And the way we're going to do that is by putting a hopper there, just to have it run into something. And we're going to crouch, and we're going to run this hopper all the way along. So those hoppers, you can see, if we look underneath, those hoppers are running into each other. And then here, we're going to do exactly the same again, and we're going to make these hoppers run into each other all the way to the end. Exactly like that. And then we're going to get out, and we're going to carry on. Let's get that one out there and there. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. And I'll come back when I've done that. All of these hoppers are now in place. And yes, I know it's a lot of hoppers. I've heard you say it before. You could do it with a rail. I know you could, but we didn't. It was my choice. It's my video. I'll do it the way I want. But we are going to do the collection bit now. So in here, this hopper in the middle was only ever going to be temporary. And on that, we're going to put a dropper instead. Not a dispenser, but a dropper. And behind that, we are going to cut a bit of a channel. So behind that dispenser, we need a little bit of redstone. So we're going to put the redstone there, and then we're going to cut a bit of a hole there, because we're going to put some stone brick right there. We're going to come up behind this. We're going to stick a redstone torch there. We need to come out to there, and we need to come out to there, and we're going to get a repeater right there, and then we need another repeater coming out of the redstone torch. So what we're building now here is a clock. We're building a redstone clock that is going to get that thing ticking like mad. Then we need 2 little bits of redstone, one there, and this is going to start this ticking. You can see that is now ticking, and because you can hear the ticking, that is the dispenser getting turned off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on. It gets really, really annoying, and you can slow it down by putting the ticks there even further, or depends how often you want it to dispense, but I think in reality the fastest it can go is the best speed. But it's okay, you don't have to have it constantly ticking like that, because you can get yourself a lever, stick it on top of that block and just flick it, and that turns the clock off, and you can turn it off and on at your leisure. Then fill in the gaps here, because you didn't really need them. I don't know why I dug them up in the first place. We're going to go 1 2 1 2 like that. That obviously can't put the gaps there, but you can fill that one there. And then what we're going to do, we can't block off any of this redstone, because that would be terrible, but it doesn't matter, because we can put a block there and a block there, and look, it still works. We can put a block there and a block there, it still works. It's cool. In fact, we can even put a block there and it still works. And you know what? Yep, you guessed it, put a block there and it still absolutely 100% works. So that is nicely covered up. We're going to leave that lever like that, because actually I quite like it. So we have got our active switchable clock, which is brilliant, but we've got dispenser here that's going to collect all the very different bits of things that are going to drop, but we need to be able to collect stuff. So we need to get ourselves a chest. We need to go into crouch, put a chest on top of that dropper, and then to the side put a chest on top of that as well. That then will collect everything that dropper shoots up inside of it, which is brilliant. Now we just need to get ourselves a platform upon which these bits are going to collect. So we're going to do that using a slab, and I like to use stone brick slab just because it's consistent with what's gone up there. But again, any slab, any half slab specifically, is going to work. And we're going to cover up these hoppers all the way along like this with half slabs, and it has to be right to the end like that. So that's the landing platform. If you wanted to, you could use magma bricks or something like that, because they're transparent and the hoppers will suck things through the magma bricks, but they're quite hard to come by, I reckon. So I think that's a lot easier to use half slabs. I'm trying to keep this as survival friendly as possible. He says doing loads and loads of hoppers, which is never survival friendly, but in reality magma blocks are just a nightmare to come by, especially kind of early, even mid game, so I'm not going to use them. But they will make absolutely sure that should there be any mobs that have got, I don't know, some rare mob like it's got featherfall, or perhaps you've got another mob that is a chicken jockey that doesn't quite die, although it should do from all that way up there, a magma block would absolutely kill it off. But in reality we just need this particular bit here. Then we're going to cover up these hoppers because we don't need them to catch anything, all the way along like that. There we go. And so we've got our collection station for our mob farm, and we need to get our glass again, and we're going to fill in now this 2 gap that we had, what we left open simply so it was easy access, and we're going to close it off because now we are never going to need to get inside that gap again. That is for dying mobs and dying mobs only. So let's close it all up. I'll be back when I've done that. And there we have it, this massive giant spawner cum farm thing, all completed in terms of its structure. However, it doesn't yet do its sweeping, it doesn't work yet, it's not closed off. We need to get up there and start fixing that. The next bit seems a little bit complicated, and that's because it sort of is. What we're going to do is we're going to create a bit of a complex clock that connects all 3 of these layers, and also a clock correction glitch out corrector timer thing that's going to make sure that if it glitches out, because sometimes these clocks can glitch out because they go too quickly for themselves, it's going to self-correct itself, and it's not just going to go boom and explode in a horrible explosion of furnaces and dust, because that would just be awful and actually going to explode. Really, it just will stop working. But what we do have to do first off is to get a row of redstone along all of these sticky out furnaces. So go into crouch, we're going to put redstone literally along the entire width of these furnaces on all 3 layers. Don't miss any of them, otherwise your sweeper will not work properly. So come across there. So that is what's going to power the sweeper. And then in the middle layer, and it's important that we do it in the middle layer, we come into the middle and we're going to put a conductive block. So I'm just going to use orange wool simply because it means I can see it. This is, I go into crouch, stick that there, get rid of that. Okay, so we've got a conductive wool right there. Then what we want to do is we need to get another furnace right there. So again, go into crouch, stick a furnace there, simply because that is potentially going to, well, it's not potentially, it's going to have a slime block rubbing up against it, so we don't want that to be moving. We need to get our piston. That piston needs to face there. We're going to put a slime block on the face of that piston, exactly like that, and then we're going to tower up until we get level with these furnaces right there. Then on top of that we're going to stick a block of redstone, and that powers that entire row. Can you see that? So then we come along here, we're going to get a block of redstone there. That is going to power that entire middle row, and then underneath we need to get another tower of slime blocks going downwards, and then on the bottom one of there we need to get another block of redstone like that, you can see, and then on the back here we've got a block of redstone that goes there, and that block of redstone there is what's going to make the magic happen a little bit. So then we're going to get a block of wool there, a block of wool there, a block of wool there, and then we need another one and another one. Is that enough? I think that's enough. Then we put one on top there, one on top there, and one on there. I think that's right. So then we need to get a repeater that runs into that, and we're going to set that to 2 ticks. we're going to get a repeater there and a repeater there. That repeater sets to 4 ticks. That repeater sets to 3 ticks. This one here gets a little bit of redstone on. Then we need to get on the side is where that was meant to go. We get another bit of wall there, and we're going to put a redstone torch on the back of that. Okay, so that at the moment is our correcting mechanism. We get a bit of redstone there and a bit of redstone there, and you can see that is now rolling like a good one. So let's just turn that off. So what would happen is if we didn't have that repeater in there, this would basically drive that entire system, and it'd be very, very slow. Can you see? So we've got to make sure that that system is plenty fast enough, and to do that we need to get the repeater back in there on 2 ticks. So that works much better. So I'm just going to knock it out and just take a quick look at how that looks. Can you see? It's got the slime tower, it's got the redstone blocks in those positions, it's got these wall blocks here, doesn't matter what colour the wall blocks are obviously, in this particular conformation, and as a result of that we've got a self-correcting mechanism on this side and the clock on this side. Pretty simple. And then what we want to do is we want to activate that by sticking that redstone back there, and that clock is pumping backwards and forwards, which is absolutely brilliant because we want it to do that. And then we are going to take a look inside and see if the magic is indeed happening. And look at that, it is. That sweeper is running backwards and forwards across that platform. We just want to make sure that all 3 of them are doing that, because if it's not, there is a problem with the redstone somewhere. That is doing it, and that is doing it as well. So you've got to be happy with that. Those sweepers, when we get some things spawning on these platforms, those sweepers are going to mess them up really, really good. So just for now, let's turn off this clock by deleting that bit of redstone there, and it stops completely, which means the sweepers stop completely, and we can start to concentrate on finishing off this build because it's not quite there yet. So we are going to basically close off this redstone circuitry. We don't want it sat there. It looks pretty damn ugly, and we're going to avoid having to look at it at all costs. And the best way to do that is to create a bit of a box all the way around the redstone, but you've got to be very careful that you don't block your redstone in, because if you block it off and you cut off any of the circuitry, this puppy is not going to work, and that would be a disaster, because this is going to have taken you a little while to build, and that would not be funny. So I'm just going to build a box all the way around it, avoiding clicking directly on any of the furnaces, because that's just going to make me sad, because it's going to want me to put the block inside the furnace because I'm not pressing crouch right now, as I've been caught out a gazillion times on this tutorial already. So I'm just going to build this out, and remember that you've got to build it out so as the slime blocks do not touch it as it pumps away. So it's got to come out 3 wide like this. There we go. So now we've got a big old gap between the slime and these blocks, because that would just be a complete disaster. The slime would not like it whatsoever, the blocks would like it even less, and we'd end up flopping stuff all over the place, and nobody wants that, and it wouldn't work at all. Now what we can do here is, before we block it in completely, is we can put a lever on this block there. That block there can then turn off the entire system without removing the redstone. So if I put the redstone back here, that starts moving again. I flick that lever and bang, that is completely and entirely off. So I'm now going to block this whole lot in and keep that block open so as we can flick on that lever anytime we want. I'll be back when I'm finished. And as we close this up, you can see that we've put some glowstone in there. Now I've only put glowstone in there just to light it up so we don't get any mobs spawning inside this mechanism, because actually this is going to be super dark and there is enough space for mobs to spawn inside the redstone sector, and we don't want that to happen. That would just be terrible. Even with this hole here, there would be enough light to be able to do that, and we don't want that. Now we're going to make this just a little bit less like a hole and a little bit more like an access point by sticking a block in there. We're going to get an iron trapdoor on the edge of that block, and we're going to delete the block. So that iron trapdoor now needs to be able to function. We stick a lever there, throw the lever, and that iron trapdoor closes, float it again, and it opens, and we can reach in there and turn that lever on, and that's still working beautifully. So let's turn that off, and stick that off as well. And then all we've got to do is close this system up. As soon as we close it up, it is going to be as dark as a very dark thing from Darkland inside, and that is exactly what we want it to be. We have to use half slabs, and the reason we have to use half slabs is because that's going to stop anything spawning on top of this particular build, because if we get mobs spawning on top of the build, all that's going to do is stop mobs being able to spawn inside the build, and if they don't spawn inside the build, we're not going to get all of our lovely mob related booty. So cover this over with half slabs, and that will make sure that the entire surface, including this bit here, because that is also part of where the mobs could spawn, and that is going to make absolutely sure that there is no surface area whatsoever that these mobs can spawn onto. It also means that the Enderman can't teleport off onto the top of the spawner, and if you've got no platforms anywhere near it or any land or anything like that, then that's going to also help the Enderman to not spawn off anywhere else. So let's get this roof finished, shall we? So it is completely ready and completely built. We have lit up this area underneath because it is dark enough for mobs to spawn. As you can see, we've had 2 creepers spawn underneath here already, even though it's daytime, and this skeleton is also spawned underneath it and is still ever so slightly underneath the platform, which means he's not dead either. I have created access to the platform for survival players, because obviously why would you need a mob spawner if you're not playing survival, right? So you've got a ladder that goes all the way up to the top, which reaches this platform here, which allows you to get there. So that can be thrown, this inside can be thrown as well, and just watch what lands down there. I hope you can see it when we throw this switch. So let's get rid of the switch. That turns on, and we now look at those mobs falling. Did you see that? So what's happening now is that, oh my goodness, did you see that as well? The mobs are going to be swept backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards using that sweeper arm, because it is so dark inside. They're going to be spawning like absolute crazy, and as the sweeper arm comes across, it's going to push them off one side, and then the sweeper arm will come across and push them off the other side. Look, there it goes, it's going that way as well. And this, whilst it's not got, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mobs per minute, it is a relatively good spawny type mob farm. So it's worked beautifully. I'm really happy with the way that's worked. You can see the mobs are falling like absolute mad. That's brilliant. I'm really happy with the way that's working, and that is going to be collecting stuff like no one's business. Now I wonder what is going on here, because I've got a horrible feeling that this system has got something wrong with it. So this is your challenge. Your challenge is to work out why this system isn't working. So obviously it's not on at the moment, so we won't be able to see what's going on there. But if I turn it on, that clock is now rolling. As you can see, the clock is rolling, which is powering that dropper there. So let's just cover that up again. But I don't think this is going to be working. I think we're going to see things flashing on and off. Can you see what's happened there? Look. It's not quite working properly. So my challenge to you is, why is this not working properly? Why have we got stuff going from the chest into the dropper, or from the dropper into the chest? So you tell me why this isn't quite working in the comments below, and I will fix it, and I will give credit to you for the person that fixed it first. Little competition there for you guys. So we have got mobs falling absolutely brilliantly. We're going to be collecting loads and loads of stuff if we can work out why that clock thing's not working. If you've enjoyed this video, I would be absolutely delighted if you could let me know by smacking that like button square in the face. That would be brilliant. And if you haven't already, you're very naughty, but I would like to see you join my sub club. It would be amazing to have you in my notification squad, and I'll look forward to seeing you. Oh my goodness, did you see that? I'll look forward to seeing you in another video really soon. You take it easy now. Bye.